Welcome to the very first edition of our new podcast, Garden Stories with Peter Berg. In a relaxed atmosphere, this podcast is all about nature, design, and garden landscaping. With changing German and international discussion partners, experiences are exchanged, interesting insights are provided, and exciting anecdotes are told. Today we begin with the fabulous Carolyn Mullet, one of the most well-known and award-winning landscape and garden designers from North Indiana. Enjoy the first edition of our Garden Stories with Peter Berg.
Interview with Carolyn Mullet, and we visit our garden and we spoke about garden design. And now I would like to have a feedback from her. Carolyn, you are doing garden tours since 5 years. How often you have been in Germany?
I think I was in Germany when I was younger.
Good.
When I was just after college. And then I didn't return until about 5 years ago. And I made a tour, or planned a tour, designed a tour, that would look at naturalism in the Netherlands, because Piet Oudolf is from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And then we also went to Hermanshof.
Yeah.
So we went into Germany, and then last year I returned to Germany to do more gardens along the area, the border with the Netherlands. So the tours are generally based on exposing American travelers to what naturalism is like in Europe, because it's very different than what is happening in our country, and people are not very familiar with how it's done, what it looks like. They know the High Line, they know the Lurie Garden in Chicago, but I think they need to see more. And Europeans do it so much. They do it so well.
Okay,
so it's although I don't frame it as a learning tour, that's really what my goal is, that they just expose a few more people to the ideas.
And I am so impressed that your group is so interested, and even they know a lot about gardens.
Yes, the people that come on my tours generally are either very avid gardeners, or they're garden designers, sometimes landscape architects. They're people that know about naturalism from just seeing some things of Oudolf's in our country. So they're curious. And so they're usually, this tour is one for people that are very, very interested in plants. Okay. So coming to your garden was like giving that extra something, where it doesn't have to be a field like so many gardens are in the Netherlands, but instead it's something that has enormous impact in terms of its structure and its craftsmanship and its expression. It's just very impressive, and I'm thrilled that we were able to come here. And just in the few conversations I've had, they're really.
Yeah, of course, I like plants, but I also like design and architecture. Yes. Mm-hmm. And you be right, the stone structure for us is very important. Mm-hmm. It makes it useful, and it makes it also better for maintenance. So, and it's a nice it's a nice game to play with rocks and plants.
Yes.
But you saw it, and I think you understand it. And even the slope is, for me, it's a big situation.
Yes. Yes.
What do you think? What the group, do they like this place here?
Yeah. Oh yes, they were all just kind of like, they're in awe, because they've never seen anything such a complete expression of an idea. Every terrace that you've done is like a total little world. And then you go up the steps and you see another little world. And it has such strength and power. And you cannot help but be impressed by this picture that you've drawn through stone and plants and structures, the glass house. And those things are something that I know the tour members will carry back with them because they've never seen anything quite like it. We use stones in our country, and there are people who are expert at handling boulders, but you have taken it quite a bit further than most people's work that I've seen in the United States. There may be people I don't know.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a big country.
Yeah,
so I may not know somebody's work who is doing absolutely fantastic work, but just of what I've seen.
I know that we, in most of the cases, we try to do it in a bigger dimension.
Yes.
And for me, this is also the difference to the Japanese work. It's a smaller world, but even it's the same with trees. If you take big trees, they are the boss in the garden.
Yes.
And if you go on with your work to bigger dimensions, it's you have to go further, step by step.
Yes, right. And the way that you have thought of every little detail. I mean, your eye just moves from one thing to the next, and it's all pleasurable. It's all beautiful. There's nothing that has been forgotten.
Yeah.
It's such a complete picture. Very impressive.
Yeah, it's a pity, but we are so happy that we had rain today.
Yes.
The plants need the rain, we need the rain. But to see all the details, more from the detail work, and to see how the garden is in different light, maybe you have to come back.
Well, I would love to come back, of course.
Yeah.
I hope you'll have us again. This has been a very special visit for me, and I think my tour members will remember it forever. It's going to be something that they talk about. I hope you come to the United States to speak, to show your work.
Maybe if there's a possibility and if there's time for it. You are working on a new book at last. Please say something about your new book.
Okay, my book is about private European gardens.
Yeah.
I'm trying to introduce to the American garden world a kind of gardens that they can that will have ideas in them that they may not be so familiar with, styles of planting they may not be so familiar with, structures they may not be so familiar with. Just trying to show what's happening here in private gardens. This is certainly not the total picture. It was a select group that I could make, that I chose, but it isn't necessary. I mean, there are many, many, many more. There was like thousands that I could have picked. But it's going to have photographs, and then I have written an essay on each garden that tells a little bit about the person who made the garden, whether or not they had professional help.
Yeah.
What was their goal? What has it been like to live with that garden? And I hope that it gets Americans onto planes and come over and see some of these very special places.
So I'm very interested to see your book. When can we have the first exemplars?
I haven't been told the publishing date, but it's this fall, late this fall.
Yeah.
My publisher wants it out by Christmas. So.
Great. So we enjoy to have it as a Christmas present.
I think that's their idea.
Great. Carolyn, thank you for your visit, and I hope you come back. Thanks.
I hope to come back. Thank you.
This was the first edition of our Garden Stories with Peter Berg, and his guest today was Carolyn Mullet. By the way, more about garden design can be found on Peter Berg's website GartenLandschaft.com. The corresponding link can be found in our show notes. We would be very happy about a positive feedback on iTunes or the corresponding podcast platforms. Goodbye until next time at Garden Stories with Peter Berg.